Well, love blossoms in the strangest of places. It was a passion for history and a shared affection for an Al Murray podcast that brought our next two guests together.
Yes, as the comedic co-host shared stories of World War II, Sean O'Keefe and Colleen Quigley started their own chapter, and it really has been quite a whirlwind. We will be speaking to them in just a moment, but first, here's Michelle Morrison with their story.
Hello and welcome to We Have Ways of Making You Talk. I'm a comedian who likes a bit of history.
In 2020, the podcast inspired fans around the world to connect online. It's where American Colleen caught the attention of Irish chef Sean. Messages quickly turned to phone conversations before a Christmas Day video call that year sparked a transatlantic love affair. The pair finally met at a podcast festival in Oxford in 2021, hitting it off. Sean's recently moved to the US, where the couple are set to tie the knot in January.
Well, it's 7:15 here. It's 2:15 in the morning where they are in Rhode Island. So thanks for staying up for us, guys.
Thank you.
Look, here's the question I want to ask both of you, and I'm not sure which one of you is going to answer first. But, I mean, meeting in virtual reality is a strange way, isn't it, to actually start connecting. Who actually realised that they were falling in love first? Who got that feeling that this could be something very special first? Which one of you?
I'll go with me. Why not? You know, it just well, I think we both from our initial contact, we just really hit it off. Yeah, you know, it's like everything was just very natural between us. So there you go.
Yes. So what was it about him that appealed to you as you started communicating over the internet?
Well, although Sean's obviously his good looks and charm eventually won me over in the long run. Early on, we were texting and communicating that way. So, but his sense of humor and his kindness really came across in his messages to me. And then obviously our mutual interest in the podcast and in the Second World War was a great icebreaker. But you can't build a relationship just on talking about war. So we found out a common interest. Irish history happens to be one we also have. Food, wine, travel. So it all sort of built from there. But we spoke for about 2 months by messaging. And then as Christmas approached, Christmas of 2020, we were both isolated during lockdown. And I thought it would be lovely to finally hear Sean's voice. So I took a chance and just said, would you like to talk on the phone? And it was Sean's idea for us to talk by video. And so we did on Christmas night of 2020, and it's sort of just taken off from there. I texted him the next day just to thank him for the lovely chat. We had spoken for about an hour. Oh, wow. And we started to message a little bit. And then Sean said, why don't we just get back on the phone again? And we had a 7-hour chat on Boxing Day, as you call it, or St. Stephen's Day.
7 hours.
7 hours, yes.
So that's quite something. So you obviously had that instant connection, didn't you, then?
Yes, we did. I think so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
It's all very easy, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's no pregnant pauses or awkwardness or anything.
Yeah, and I think it's too for us that we're a little older. So, maybe in our 20s, this would have been a little hotter, but at this point we were both in our late 40s. Not that we want to.
I wouldn't have the bottle back then. You know?
And I suppose also meeting like that and building a relationship like that, it's a very pure, clean way to do it. So, for example, you don't discover that you might actually have issues about who handles the TV remote control, and who does the cooking and who puts the bins out, because none of that happens when you're talking online, does it? It's very pure.
Well, that's right. I think now is where we're experiencing that because now we're living together. But that's actually gone quite well, too. It's great because I don't like to cook. Sean's a chef. So all of that has worked out really well, too.
It turns out I only dislike cooking when I'm getting paid to do it. There you go.
And how was it when you first met in person then? Because that must have been quite something, because obviously you developed this relationship online, virtually, you'd been speaking to each other, but then when you saw each other in real life, face to face, how was that?
Well, we were going to the first WW2 festival, and we decided we'd meet up a couple of days previously just to see how we got along and whatnot. So it was just towards the end, I mean, just after the end of lockdown. So you still had like dining outdoors and social distancing. So we arranged to meet for you know, bite to eat and whatnot outside a pub in Oxford. And Colleen arrived before I did, you know, due to her flights and whatnot. So apparently she was very nervous. She almost backed out, but I was nervous myself. But I figured, you know, what the hell, you know, just brave it out, and it was fine. You know,
Right. I called a friend and told her I wasn't sure that I could do this. I was very, very nervous, even though Sean and I had been talking at that point for about 9-10 months. But my friend convinced me I had nothing to lose. I had come that far and to give it a go. And Sean walked up to me in the pub, gave me a hug, and that was really nice. And then we walked around Oxford, which the setting is also very romantic, so it certainly helps. And after a bit of time, we sat in a pub, and I stepped in to use the loo, as you call it. And when I came out, Sean was sitting on the couch, and he reached over and took my hand, and that was sort of it. That's really was the moment for me.
I love the mixed Americanisms and English phrases there, like loo and couch. It's all a lot of cross-culture going on.
Listen,
there.
we've got to ask about your wedding, because obviously that's coming up, isn't it? I sense there might be a bit of a theme to it. Am I right? What's it going to involve?
Well, it's a little challenging in this country, because if we really wanted an accurate Second World War experience, we'd probably have to go to Pearl Harbor, and so that's obviously not feasible or appropriate. So here in Rhode Island, we do have our shared love of history. So we're getting married at a small museum that belonged to a Revolutionary War general. Apologies to my British friends, but it's a lovely colonial home, and has a lot of history, and so it was a place that when Sean and I visited, we just felt like this was the right place for us. But our honeymoon will incorporate some Second World War themes. We're going to the Franklin Roosevelt House in Hyde Park, and probably the West Point Museum. So there'll be plenty of World War II gear for us to look at on our honeymoon.
And what is your fascination, the two of you, with World War II? I mean, I must be honest with you, I share it too. I'm very interested in the history of the Second World War, but I thought that kind of dated me and my generation. You're so much younger than I am. How have you both formed that?
Don't be too sure about that, man.
Thank you.
Trust me, you are. Trust me. Very, very quickly, what is the reason for that joint fascination with World War II?
Well, for myself here in Rhode Island, we always had a large veterans population, and you just grew up hearing about the war. It was really just the idea of good versus evil. It was so clear cut. I think it was a moment in history that there was no doubt about the goodies and the baddies, if you will. And I just, for some reason, was very attracted to that story, and started reading about it when I was 10. So for me, that's how I grew up with it. And
yeah, well, I mean, being a child of the 70s and 80s, growing up watching war movies, making Matchbox and Airfix kits and what have you. And I mean, like my mother she had two uncles who fought in the American forces during the Second World War. Right. So, I mean, there's always been, you know, like Richard, you know yourself, you know, being of a similar age, it was pervasive.
Yes.
You know, like every movie was a war movie.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Yeah. Like I shared that interest with my dad, who only passed a couple of months back. So that was how we kind of bonded.
OK, well, look, if you can, go on a live feed of this programme, because in about an hour or so, we're going to be interviewing a 103-year-old former mosquito pilot.
Oh, Colin Bell.
He's 103, still sharp as a tack.
He has been at Warfest. He has been at Warfest. He's a lovely man.
103, he would pass for 63.
I know.
I know, he's amazing.
He's incredible, isn't he? Listen, congratulations to both of you. It's great to see you. I hope you're going to invite Al Murray to the wedding, by the way, are you?
Absolutely.
Well, if you'd like to
Yeah.
come, you have an open invitation.
right.
Absolutely.
Well,
Love
have
it.
a-
Love
have a-
it.
For everyone.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
And
Happy New
thank
Year.
you
Thanks
Happy
so
New
much.
Year.
so much for
Thank
staying
you.
up for us because it's so
Happy New
late
Year
there.
to you as
Happy
well.
New Year. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Ah, what a lovely couple.
really
They really
lovely,
are
isn't
made
it?
for each other,
I
aren't they?
know,
I
you
mean,
can
they
just
look good,
tell,
and
can't you?
both, in the flesh there and in all the photographs. They look
What
they
a
look
way
great
to
together.
fall in love.